Ladies and gentlemen, this is the state of the scene.
Yo, what the fuck is up, Warped Tour? The state of the scene at SOTS Podcast on all social media. Sam here with Marcos.
Hey.
Yo, what the fuck is up, Marcos?
So much.
Do you remember, so this episode drops Halloween week. Do you remember how extra we used to be about these?
We used
Sounds
to
like a
have
yes.
like the worst setup imaginable. We would like record in your living room with the worst acoustics imaginable.
Yeah. Those are the days, bro.
You had like two dogs that would like bark at each other.
I miss recording podcasts in the garage.
And always, and we could never really figure out exactly what it was or why, but like eventually we upgraded our equipment.
Yeah.
But like our microphones at some point would just like turn to static.
It was
or something like that.
was insane.
And you wouldn't be able to gauge like when it would happen.
Yeah.
So we'd be recording and we'd be doing a big stupid bit like, you know, Tim Lambesis first interview out of prison.
Right.
And suddenly you'd have to restart the entire episode because like 15 minutes in you realize the audio got fucked. And we'd spend 9 hours recording like a 4-hour episode.
It's insane that we kept doing this with like the amount of insurmountable odds that would have stopped any other reasonable person.
That, and we really have optimized the entire thing as far as like, bro, I clock in on Friday at like 5 on a good day, and like we're done within like 3 hours. And this includes like sitting down, watching music videos, preparing for the show.
If a recording went well, it used to be 9 hours out of our day.
And the funny part is it didn't feel as long as it does now.
No, which is very strange, but I agree. No, but I'm talking about when we used to do vampire voices for a whole episode because it was fucking Halloween, bro.
So what have we done? We did
shit.
Vampire voices the whole episode. There was one year I wanted to do Joker voice the entire time.
We sacrificed Kevin Lyman one year to bring Warped Tour back, which I guess worked.
About that.
I guess it worked.
It worked.
It worked. You're welcome, everyone.
R.I.P.
Well, like half worked, you know what I mean? It's like if we were doing a spell, but we like fucked up one ingredient, you know what I mean? So we got like
a
bastardization of Warped Tour back.
We mispronounced something and it added like 4 years for it to eventually happen.
Right, exactly.
We did do the Tim Lambesis interview.
The Tim Lambesis interview is
came
probably
and eventually killed us in the studio.
One of the most deleted episodes in history. Like, it's got to be up there.
I'm trying to think. I think we had like another one that we did. We did one like in a haunted house, and I was doing like sound effects and stuff like that.
Oh my fucking goodness!
We used to put actual effort into this show
for real. Not. Well, I mean, the irony is that like we used to shoot from the hip. And now I put like I write, like I spent 3 hours writing a whole episode now, which I never used to do. So it's like the amount of time I invest outside of the podcast is now tenfold. Whereas before it just used to be all off the cuff. Like, what if we interviewed fucking Tim Lambesis? You know what's hilarious is that fucking As I Lay Dying is in the news. This is the first time we talked about this band in years.
The funniest part of all this is like, you're right. Like, so much effort would go into that product, but we'd also walk in every week like, what did you listen to? Oh, I never got around to that. I listened to this. Oh, I didn't get around to that.
I just figured out like 45 minutes before we did everything.
Who were dedicated to like just doing Halloween specials.
They weren't good.
They weren't bad,
but they were fun.
Yes.
Marcus, there's a lot going on this week. We're going to talk about Ice 9 kills in the news. We're going to talk about As I Lay Dying, fucking apparently. Big anniversaries from Linkin Park and My Chemical Romance. We got new music this week from... It's weird because it's like this week, hey, we're talking about Megan Thee Stallion. We're talking about Halsey, right?
Yeah.
But we're also going to cover like some scene bands as well, like Cult of the Lamb, and it's a weird week, y'all. Like we really slapped this shit together, but there's like some fun news there's some fun scene-related bullshit, and there's a new Linkin Park song, and you know what? That's all I really needed to be like, we got stuff to talk about.
Yeah, of course.
Your usual data, Discord, Patron questions, all that other bullshit. In our deluxe episode this week, we're going to talk about When We Were Young Fest and everything that happened there. So if you want to support the show, patreon.com/SOTS podcast. Marks, let's get into the news.
The news.
Ice Nine Kills' new single, A Work of Art, has entered the Billboard Hot Hard Rock Songs chart at number 3, the band's highest charting song to date. Directly behind it, entering at 4, is new Breaking Benjamin single, Awaken. Linkin Park continue to hold the top 2 places. They'll probably end up with the third one as well by the end of next week.
Is there any part of you that is, I guess, like faceted question or some shit?
Sure, go ahead.
I want to start with any surprise whatsoever that Linkin Park, in their return, have been so successful with how much, no one really understood what it would look like. Like there was a lot of just right. So
you're right. Like, did I expect them to be like dominant out of the gate the way that they have been? No.
The thing that I'm surprised about is both of them. I expected one, but to see both of them back to back is a little crazy.
Right, and now have a third one and think to yourself, like, well, if this place is in like top 3, then like by the time this album drops, they're just gonna own this whole fucking chart.
Right.
I think that's just the cachet that like Linkin Park has. Like, they're such a fucking well-respected and renowned project that even when they return with a new vocalist, there's just so much adoration for them. And I also think that the quality has been very good. I think they've come back and like, especially these first 2 songs have been deeply reminiscent of the eras and the nostalgia people had for Linkin Park. And that's why they've like gravitated towards it. I think they've also come back during a really good time where I think rock and metal has had a big resurgence in the last few years. So like this was sort of all the stars aligned in terms of timing for Linkin Park. So I'm not terribly surprised that it's going this well, especially when you then say, hey, look, Breaking Benjamin put out a brand new single. It's been like, I don't know, maybe a few years since they had an album or something, and they're already at number 4. So it's like old heads show up for the names they remember.
They show up.
They fucking, the North remembers like the 2000 to 2005 era of hard rock.
One last thought on Linkin Park before we'll move on, because this is more of a Breaking Benjamin Ice Nine Kills.
Well, for what it's worth, what I really wanted to talk about here. Oh, okay. So you're saying, hey, we'll talk about them in a second after this last Linkin Park. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, like, we do have Linkin Park in the news, so we can add more later on.
Sure.
To me, I think it is. I think the way that this band introduced their new singer is going to continue to age like wine over time.
Sure.
We're going to look back and think like that ended up being such a brilliant decision of having this person just walk out onto the stage while we're already in the middle of performing just like what will end up being a very lengthy set, reassuring everybody that they've got this vocal shit down. Pay attention to the new material. And also like dropping all of that immediately as it's happening during the show, I thought was super cool too.
I would love one other artist to try this. You know what I mean? Because this was like,
sure.
This feels like a thing that's only ever happened once. And I wonder if it'll literally ever happen again. But like, in theory, like how funny would it be if 3 Days Grace was like, all right, we've got a live stream.
Imagine
we've
just
brought out
walked
100 of the hardest fucking live, ride, or die fucking
old
3 Days
heads. They're
Grace.
just, those are old heads too.
Adam walks out on stage. Yeah. I mean, at this point, they're all fucking old. But Linkin Park is one of these bands that has like a, and Breaking Benjamin isn't terribly far away. This resurgence of rock and metal, it's hitting a younger generation as well. So obviously, like, they're building up a new fan base to that go alongside their more elderly fan base, which feels like so mean to say.
More elderly,
because I feel like
base.
I guess I'm just literally talking about myself, like fucking aging people like myself.
Have you? So I haven't heard the new Breaking Benjamin song.
I haven't listened to it either. I'm you know me, I'm steadfast where I'll check it out the second you drop that music video. Like, I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna cover it on the podcast. But like, don't you send me no fucking stupid visualizer lyric video and tell me your new song's out. Like, not yet. Not as far as I'm concerned. This is like early access as well. Like, this is alpha. Like, let me know when we go into beta or whatever. Let me know when we fully launch this new song.
You know the joke from a couple of years ago where people were like post a photo of two white guys and they'd be like, you could tell me this was the Chainsmokers and I'd believe you.
Yes, I do remember this.
You could send me a photo of four white guys and tell me that's Breaking Benjamin. I'd believe you. I don't think I've ever seen that band before. I cannot like visualize in my head what they look like, what any of their music videos have ever looked like.
You've never seen the Diary of Jane music video? That's crazy.
Think so. And if I have, it's been so long, and I've certainly never seeked it out. Not because I don't like it, but like I'm just trying to think like what that band looks like. I don't know.
It's just had an incredible idea for a reaction video, by the way. It's like two losers watch Diary of Jane for the first time ever. It would do absolute fucking numbers, bro. Can we talk about Ice Nine Kills' highest charting song to date? That seems pretty cool.
It is really cool.
A little surprising because I thought A Grave Mistake really fucking lost it. Like in terms of like serious play and stuff, I thought that did like serious fucking high charting fucking numbers, but maybe it did on serious and maybe it like peaked at like 6 or 7 on this chart. You know what I mean?
It's not the biggest thing to go off of, but I took a peek at their top 5 on Spotify the other day and I was really surprised by it. You know, discounting a work of art.
I was surprised by it too because I think I know where you're going with this.
It is like all the first Silver Scream album.
I was surprised by that as well.
Right.
Because it's like Horrorwood as an album charted significantly higher than the Silver Scream, and for all intents and purposes has been supported better than any album rollout in the history of time, dog.
They've
like
done
this
a good
band,
job.
they've had like 5 videos.
86
they put out
merch
like
drops.
48 deluxe versions. Yeah, they put out the extra song to go along with it. Like the care that they've shown that record is like
it got a 9-bit
unrivaled. But you're right. I go and look at that top 5 and I'm like, wow, it's crazy to me that it is the Silver Scream is still that bitch. And like
it's not even like
Hip to Be Scared, I want to say, is the one song that like slid in.
And it's like comparatively streaming wise, I'm like, how is
right, like it's like 50 to 80
how's
million.
the song about the crow like that? Like it ratios it.
It's baffling because of the growth that Ice Nine Kills have experienced. So, you know, I'm curious to see like a work of art, you know, coming this hot out of the gate, obviously being tied to the Terrifier film, which like horror fans are absolutely fucking obsessed with, and they have been for the last couple weeks.
That's one of the more fascinating things. Like I don't, you would expect this to be. It's funny. Like I understand that this is the official Terrifier 3 song.
Yeah.
But to me, that almost seems like it would be because of the graphic nature of that series, something that would prevent a song like this from really having that mainstream appeal. But you know, you also weigh the fact that Terrifier 3 like 2 weeks in a row was like the #1 movie, and or not 2 weeks in a row, but like it's made like $30 million already, which is
I think
like insane compared to its budget.
I think what's very different about Ice Nine Kills now versus Ice Nine Kills before is that they get a lot more support from the horror community than I think they did in the past, where it was almost like a passing novelty. Ice Nine Kills has almost become like a flag bearer for the horror community as well.
Yeah.
And you kind of tie that into like the fact Spencer Charnas is showing up at all these fucking conventions and shit like that. And he jumps on like podcasts where they like fucking like break down the top 5 horror movies of the year 2005 and shit like that.
Fucking Dead Meat or some shit.
Right, Bloody Disgusting is like, hey, that new Ice Nine Kills joint is out. Y'all gotta go check it out.
Right, there's also like a drive for fans of like Terrifier to go check this out because
right,
like
exactly.
Art the Clown, that actor is literally performing in the video.
Right, so I think a lot of what they've done with the rollout of this is brilliant. I mean, as a marketing like project, Ice Nine Kills is nearly as strong as they are musical performers. Mark's Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park turned 24 this week. The Black Parade by My Chemical Romance turned 18, and Bring Me the Horizon song Drown turned 10. Any overall feelings about, you know, the passing of time and the fact that this podcast's like a phrase that you could tie to this podcast, like not what the fuck is up Warped Tour, but like a thing that like we said so regularly the first year of this show was how the face of this scene is changed after Drown. We're in a post-Drown scene. Marcos, that's now 10 years.
And
like,
we've
been
still
post-Drown 10 years now.
We've never been post anything else but Drown, is how significant that song is to us, it is to that band. I don't like that it's 10. We know this every time we bring up like the ages of these things.
I do think a lot if we've had a song that has had as much like significant like as big a tectonic shift within the scene as it felt like Drown did. Like does anything come to mind?
No.
Like you go, okay, well, what would have been like the really big songs of like the last 10 years? You know, immediately you start jumping the new wave of like Bad Omens, Lorna, Spiritbox. Did any of them feel like they changed, like there was a significant shift to the way there is here? I don't think so.
No.
I think it was something so much about a band like Bring Me the Horizon just sort of like entering this new stage where you could really feel
so very well established,
was.
popular band.
I don't know another artist that's really done that. You know what I'm like? Certainly we've had a lot of artists that have had hits,
right?
But nothing felt as like, and I wonder if a big piece of this for me is just like when it hit in terms of like where the scene was at, where I was at with my adoration for it and stuff like that. Like it just felt like that perfect synergy. Like you couldn't have put out that song at a better time.
It was also a 180 that was successful in that we had been burnt so recently by so many other bands trying realistically to appeal to a broader, rock radio audience. And then here's Bring Me the Horizon doing that, but on their own terms.
But and doing it in a way where it didn't feel like the song had been subjected to the mill of broadening like the band's horizons and like just taking everything and like watering it down. Like somehow they did everything on their own terms, like you said. It's really impressive. Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory turning 24 and this band being at the top of the charts right now is actually kind of fucking crazy.
It's kind of cool.
Linkin Park's starting to turn into like Metallica, just in terms of like relevancy that will never, you know what I mean? It's like Metallica
awesome.
puts out a new song and like no matter how you feel about that band, it goes straight to number one and they don't even have to like bat an eye.
I don't know. Like I was saying, I'm
like
a little
minimal
surprised.
effort. Yeah, because there's so much other aspects of Linkin Park that you have to like consider, but the fact that like 24 years later there's like the number one metal and hard rock band is insane to me. And
for me, the thing I want to shout out about the Black Parade is how gratifying it is to be reminded that was actually an October release and not some like dumb June thing.
Hot on the heels of Halloween.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like they understood the assignment, the moment, all that. They rose to the occasion. It wasn't a March album or a June album where this may have felt tonally out of place or something like that.
Yep.
It was October when something like this should and did thrive.
I think also the timing of them playing it in full at When We Were Young Festival the very same week where it turned, or a few days after, like the timing is absolutely fucking incredible.
Yeah, it's a neat coincidence. 18 years is pretty significant, right?
Agreed. Marcos, bassist Ryan Neff, drummer Nick Pierce, and guitarist Ken Susi have all announced their separation with As I Lay Down. Members Ken and Nick mentioned protecting integrity and personal morals in their letters of departure. Guitarist Phil Segroso, who is still with the band at this time, said he would be making a statement at a later time due to bureaucratic reasons. As I Lay Down posted on their Instagram, they would be making an announcement soon on the matter. This comes after the band abruptly canceled European headlining tour and on the lead up to the release of new album Through Storms Ahead, which drops November 15th. Marcos, day and date against Linkin Park.
So you a joint statement or separate?
It wasn't a joint statement. Everybody put out.
Nick?
So it started like Ryan Neff. He's like, hey, it's been real, I made a lot of good fucking music. It was this really like general statement. He's like, the relationships I built within the music industry at this like juncture in my career have been wonderful, but I now need to pursue a different path. Like it was very fucking like his team took a look at it before they put anything out and they like cleaned it the fuck up, and it said
ambiguous enough to
right
really...
like it said nothing really, but then like these other guys came out and they were like protecting their integrity and personal morals. Marcus, I have to ask you a question. Are you kind of scared what the fuck is gonna come out? Because like if people were willing to go, okay, hey, you know what? The Tim Lambesis shit was like fucked up, to put it lightly. Like, tried to have his fucking wife murdered by a hitman, backfired on him. He went to jail, comes out.
Backfired on him is such a fucking understatement.
Yeah, right. Well, and ultimately it's like, okay, well, he served his time. If we look at the prison system as a way of like reforming people, do we then say, all right, well, maybe he does deserve a second chance? You know, maybe on the basis that, like, thank God, like, this never, like, actually came to fruition, right? And it's like, all right, so if some people can manage to align on that, let's go ahead and do that. And now, to be in a position where members of the band are all leaving and saying, my personal morals have been challenged, it's like... Well, how fucking much worse could this get?
So those morals were already interesting in the first place.
Right, like those morals were already like, all right, you know what? Fucking if I'm willing to, like, once again fucking trust that the prison system could reform somebody and I'm willing to give them another chance, like, let's do this. And you know, God knows, like, all eyes are on him now. Like, you would hope that he would take responsibility and be the bigger person, and yet here we are, and like, what the fuck is about to come out?
Well, pause before kind of speculation around something like that. Like, As I Lay Dying back with Tim for like 4 or 5 years at this point.
Yeah, that sounds right.
For the most part, haven't heard anything from Tim. Like has stayed out of controversy, a controversy outside of like,
yeah,
right. So it's like, then to your point, what are any of these statements going to say that may pull that curtain back a little bit more and give us more insight as to why they might not be comfortable working with Tim Lambesis?
If it was something truly heinous, you almost feel like, okay, well, shouldn't I have like heard it by now? Like, how the fuck has this stayed silent up until this point? And you know, Phil's talking about like, oh, well, bureaucratic reasons, I can't make a statement yet. And it's like, okay.
But you're still in the band, or are you like soft launching the teaser?
He's soft launching, getting the fuck out.
Band.
So then part of me is like, is this like a financial dispute? But then, like, would you be saying your personal morals if that was the case? Like, what? Like, at this point, like, I'm spiraling, because it's like, we've already seen Tim Lambesis hit the bottom and punch his way through to the next level. What could he do that would go even further?
You only say punch because he's jacked.
Yeah, I say it because that one video where he kept punching the air for no reason, it's like fucking emblazoned in my memory. So I guess we'll watch this closely, but don't really have any other information to gleam off of at this point.
I think without having any, like, who knows where the fuck this goes. So like,
yeah.
This is in jest for now.
Say, is this
like,
you setting up a joke right now?
Yeah. We should have an As I Lay Dying draft every year.
What, like for the band to break up?
No, like 4 new guys get drafted into As I Lay Dying every
I understand
year.
what you're saying. Yeah. People are saying this isn't the first time a bunch of the guys left the fucking band, so it's like since they've come back, so it's not like deeply surprising. It's just like some of the wording around like their statements about leaving are curious, like, to put it lightly. So
how long do you think the As I Lay Dying exited members page is on Wikipedia?
It's got to be pretty decent. It's got to be pretty
you
fucking
think we're talking
decent.
like over 10, 15 by now?
I think you could probably get into the 10, 12 range minimum.
Okay.
There is a real question if As I Lay Dying wanted to continue, could they literally just grab 4 more guys and it's still Tim Lambesis is the draw for that band?
I mean, I had like
what would you call being an integral member of As I Lay Dying at this point?
Being a face of the scene, right? Like I had a passing interest in this new album because Ryan Neff, a vocalist and a member of Miss May, I was attached to this suddenly, right? So like for me, like that was piquing my interest to some degree. But I don't know if like you just fill in the gaps around Tim now, what that looks like, if I have any interest whatsoever. I can't imagine.
And then the question is also like, if enough people are sort of willing to sort of look at Tim Lambesis and forgive his past actions, is this just going to be another blip? And then As I Lay Dying is just like back in 3 months on their next tour with like a new lineup, and it's just like, well, people don't really give a fuck after all, period, no matter what. I guess we'll find out, right?
Hard to say. We've got those statements coming up.
Right. It's like I don't have enough information. But Sonic Temple Festival have announced the 2025 lineup featuring Linkin Park, Metallica, Korn, Metallica again, Motionless in White, Ice Nine Kills, Bad Omens, and lots more. Anything jumping out from this poster to you? Yeah. Well, okay. What do you got?
I like that even on their festival dates, Metallica has to be like, we're still doing like 2 unique sets no matter what. We want to play 2 dates of this fest.
I just like imagine 25 guys sitting in a boardroom and there's just a blank fucking canvas and they're like, Sonic Temple Festival lineup. Let's start with our headliners. Let me get some names. Korn. All right, yeah, we'll probably make that shit happen. Linkin Park. A must.
Right.
Bunch of guys looking around at each other. It's like, fuck. Metallica? And they're like,
I like where your head's at.
yeah. And like for 2 days, it was just like, we'll wrap this up and get an early lunch. Like, what are you guys thinking? Like, they didn't even, like, they weren't even willing to put in the effort to see if there was a 4th headliner out there. They were just like, well, just lock in Metallica for a couple of days and we only have to do like a quarter of the work here.
Right.
And I've already got my order in for Panera, so let's get the fuck out of here. They couldn't bump one of these bands up to a headliner stat. Like, ain't nobody got the juice? Ain't nobody got the fucking juice to headline Sunday? Rob Zombie can't get that bump? Are you fucking kidding me? That seems crazy.
I don't think Rob Zombie can.
I think Rob Zombie could have gotten that bump. I think he could have gotten that bump. I think they could have done it, and it would have been just fine. I think... in my mind, apparently fucking not.
Alice in Chains, I mean, right beneath Metallica.
It's just, I feel like we keep falling back into this pit where it's like, there's only 5 bands that get headlined, really. So, like, brace yourself, because they're going to be headlining every festival ever. Like, in a way, people looked at this and they were like, man, it's the same fucking 4 headliners all the time. And I'm like, I agree. Except, ironically, Linkin Park is not actually the same headliner at any point in the last, like, 7 years. So this is, ironically, maybe sort of unique, right? Like, Linkin Park is kind of like, okay, well, you certainly haven't had that one. It's just fucking, it's a little baffling to me that, man, Bad Omens is still a notch below. Like we just can't seem to get them over the fucking line, right? I Prevail's a couple notches below. We can't manage to like I thought we were going to be here by now.
In all fairness, Bad Omens did just headline their own festival.
I know, but then like 2 weeks later, we announced the brand new fucking Sonic Temple Festival, and you know, we're done letting other people headline.
Yeah.
We're right back to the fuck of what we were doing, right? Like, how did we get here? How do we keep doing this? Who didn't they get? It's like you can just fucking like, it's like immediately it's like, oh, okay, well, the other festival that's going to be playing like 2 weeks later obviously got Slipknot. So like bank that. Linkin Park's probably going to play every single fucking one of these next year. I guarantee it. And then you start to look at the rest of this and it's like, all right, this all looks very familiar. People are talking about Jimmy Eat World's logo going kind of hard in this festival for no reason.
Random.
And like, kind of what are they doing here to begin with?
One thing that sticks out to me is like, man,
like, are they heavy now or?
Like, Metallica really do have a good logo.
Metallica has a solid logo. Nobody's arguing with that. I would like to argue that Korn has a bad logo. It's iconic for being Korn's logo, but like, I don't love it. I also don't love Linkin Park's logo, if I'm being terrible. Like, I don't think you can have both. Either have your cool design or have your name as the cool design.
Or like,
don't just put everything in there.
Replace like the A and put the logo or something.
Right.
Bullet for My Valentine's logo is kind of bad.
You think so, huh? I don't hate it. I'm sort of baffled by Bullet for My Valentine as a project overall at this point in their career. Like, I keep waiting for them to have that one big hit all over again, and it just feels like we're 15 years into me waiting for it.
Yep.
But yet, they're still getting really good slots, so it's pretty clear that people still fuck with their old shit really heavily.
Band I'm most surprised is still using the same logo. Asking Alexandria
are on
puts
this
in
bitch. Where
the
are they?
least amount of effort at all times possible. Haven't updated their logo in like 20 years. They're on Sunday.
I don't know how to say this, but I do feel like Asking Alexandria dropped the ball so hard on where they should be at this point, because it's truly baffling that they're not headlining this shit. It's nice to see if Mice and Men is still fucking alive and kicking. They've had an extremely quiet year.
Yeah, they have.
So it's good to see them fucking slapped onto this festival next year and be like, all right, we're safe. They're still here. And then Grandson is also one of the most like baffling artists in general for me, because I feel like the metal and hard rock world has not embraced them nearly as much as I see them on like these posters and stuff. I'm curious to understand what the general vibe is for them, because it seems like their spot on here is pretty solid.
Who?
Like Grandson. Do I underestimate their popularity?
I mean, I look at something like that and like that's just another stage, right? Also interesting that
But
like
they're headlining it, which is like good on them,
it's
right?
funny that like if you go higher, the
Yeah.
first two stages, your headliner is like in yellow versus your support being like orange, and then
Sure.
like other bands playing that being white. You go down to the final two stages and no one's yellow, which I thought was kind of neat.
There is a weird
you're just
sort
not
of
calling
like
them
color
headliners?
palette that they're doing on this poster. Like, I don't
Yeah.
hate it. I'm with you. And then the white feels disrespectful. Marcos, as always, every link you need in the description of this episode, including our social playlist, merch, and Discord. Subscribe to us on YouTube at SOTS Podcast YT, and leave a thumbs up if you're watching the video version of this podcast. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please leave 5 stars. Dated discourse, Marcos. Let's talk about age-restricted concerts. Twitter user XPinkSpaceX went semi-viral for sharing the following take. I truly don't understand 21 plus or 18 plus shows at venues. Like, I've never been to a show and been like, man, I'm so glad there are no 17-year-olds here. It's so fucking stupid and just unnecessarily gatekeeps music. Twitter users, responses were mixed, Marcos. Zach Fallen commented, I have never once been to a show and thought, I wish there were more teenagers. This is genuinely insane. OGB Farmer commented, unbelievably insane bad take. Consider adult spaces should stay adult, and I don't want to be around someone who has Algebra 2 homework due on Monday. Fat Cock Express shared, laughing my fucking ass off. Minor at shows are the bane of my existence. Never once in my entire adult life have I gone to an all-ages show and not thought, fuck them kids. Micah expressed, there's some legality issues to the 21 plus thing with alcohol, but in general it's dumb. Let people enjoy music no matter their age. And finally, not finally, Steve Atkinson chimed in, I actively pray every day that my favorite bands don't go viral on TikTok because of how many concerts I've been to that 17-year-olds have ruined. And finally, Gray states, liquor laws? 27 question marks? Do y'all not know how those work? More question marks? Some venues can't allow certain ages in because they don't have the right liquor license to allow people under 18 or under 21 in. Begging y'all to do more research before starting discourse, please. Marcos, am I the dumbest fucking person on the planet? Pause.
Yeah.
Because every time I've been to a show and they've been serving liquor, I didn't know that meant that everyone at that show had to be over 21.
No.
That's not the case, right?
That's what Gray is saying, is that there are different liquor licenses
to allow people under 18 or under 21
within the venue, I would guess.
I don't fucking know. Like, I actually don't know. I just
because like you can go to like a fucking sports venue that is going to serve alcohol, and you can be a 4-year-old. Like,
sure,
you can be that.
See,
Sam.
4-year-olds getting drunk at baseball games all the time. That's a regular occurrence.
So I would guess it is like, yeah, like maybe it's very easy to acquire like a 21 plus liquor license.
But do
or
you not feel
something?
like every fucking show we go to, there's like a bunch of fucking teenagers there, and then like they're also serving liquor, and I just assumed this was most shows? Or is it just our space?
I don't know. I've seen a lot of like 21 plus shows. Like we live near a casino that used to do like
that's different. Casino shows different. Casino
right,
shows
but like
different,
that
bro.
was
That's
a
whole
21
venue is
plus
21
thing.
Sure, but I'm saying most of the venues we go to. Is everyone there 18 or older?
I don't think so.
Like, I didn't think so either. So it's like, initially I'm like, yeah, I agree. Like, what's with this weird age gating thing? Like, I feel like if you didn't let teenagers into these shows, all these fucking bands wouldn't be able to tour to begin with, right? Like, this
I was
is
gonna
their
say
fan base.
the Steve Atkinson thing here, where it's like, I hope these fucking 17-year-olds never find my band and give them money to continue pursuing their dreams, because I know. I'm sure you're really bankrolling them, Steven. I'm sure you're buying all the vinyl variants and all the t-shirts and.
Well, it's like
whatnot.
it's like I'm not surprised with a lot of the energy here, where it's like, oh yeah, I don't want fucking kids at my show ruining my good time,
Right.
and it's like, I don't know, like, isn't that concerts? Like, what the fuck are you being weird about? Like, weren't you fucking, like, have you already forgotten? Like, have you aged already so many years that's like you've become this weird old person, and you're like, oh, I hate when they fucking take out their phones at shows.
Listen,
or
they hated themselves as a kid.
moshing
It's
is
an
too
inner
dangerous
hatred.
now. It's like, not when I was younger. It's like, okay, just like go stand by the bar. There's like plenty of room for you and all of the elderly people to go enjoy the show and not worry about like other people having fun there. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it almost baffles me, this idea that like a venue would ever have like strictly 18 plus, 21 plus shows, because I just feel like, doesn't that seem like a bag you're just like willing to forgo? And wouldn't like a lot of bands, at least in our space, like tour around your venue because like they don't want to gate out their fans? Is generally my impression here.
I think most frequently I see 21 plus shows being like album release parties where like they are probably actively promoting drinking, and maybe they've got like, because it's never like a standard venue. It's always like, hey, we're doing like a listening party. You got to be 21 plus to come to this place.
Well, then that's just like they're playing different venues who are probably not built to host shows regularly,
Sure.
right? Like they're just complete. Like maybe they're going somewhere where there's usually like a DJ and dancing, and it's like these are clubs or something like that, as opposed to like where we're going to see shows, which is like fucking actual concert venues and stuff.
maybe
like
they
that,
got all
is
the
my
appropriate
impression.
like licenses is maybe the case.
That's what I'm thinking. Marcus, if you want to support the show, consider becoming a patron for exclusive content, the ability to submit questions to the podcast, and producer credits on all of our video content. Patrons also receive access to bonus podcasts, SOTS Deluxe. On this week's Deluxe, we talk happenings from this year's When We Were Young Festival, which featured massive headline performances from Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance, and many, many more. Patron questions this week. If you want to write in, patreon.com/SOTS podcast. Jacob asks, we've had O, Bleh, and Arf Arf. What's the next big metal mosh call going to be, Marcos?
I think that's the beauty of it, is you can never guess. Bleh, it came out of nowhere and it changed everything.
Does it have to be like a guttural noise? Like, it can't just be like words. Like it feels like it has to be like a noise, correct?
Yeah.
So it's like you'd almost have to like invent it, like you said, in like the moment. Like you can't fabricate a mosh call. Because it's not like I can just pick a word out of like, I can't just be like, oh, the next mosh call is going to be like devastation. Like that's just like a lyric. No. It has to be like grr. You know what I mean? Grah. Yes, precisely. Yeah.
Well, it's essentially like ad-libs now at this point. Like O, like is passable, but now like arf and bleh are just like, all right.
You're saying they're old news, or you're saying they're...
No, I'm saying like blech is just like used like, ugh. Like that's just...
You know what low-key it is? You know what low-key it actually is? The new mosh call is just when you drop your band name in the middle of a song. I think it's actually where we're going. Yeah, I agree.
There.
Heather asks, do we think that the revived Warped Tour is going to end up like Blue Ridge Rock Festival?
So that, like the way it is shortened is to BRRF.
Uh-huh.
That's your next mosh call.
Burf. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Just like a throw-up noise. Burf.
You can do like a real like fucking like, you can do like brief, like you can go that direction. You can go like real guttural, like burf.
Brie is low-key a mosh call, right?
Yeah.
Like that one counts, right?
Brie.
Or like pig noises, like the piggy noises. Like that was like a thing for a little bit. Marcus, do you think they're gonna royally fuck up Warped Tour? My gut is telling me probably not.
No, I don't. I still think that means most of us still won't be happy with it, which is where I still am.
Yes, because we're going to realize that it is quite literally just every other festival, and we're already like 90% of the way there. Truth be told, I did see a lot of people excitedly buying tickets regardless, but like, I'm sure these people are also pretty happy with the current state of festivals. So it's like,
if I had to guess, it is going to be a step down from when we were young. It's going to be a step up from like Sad Summer. And I just don't know if that means it's Warped Tour or if it is better or worse than Warped Tour as we knew it.
It's Warped Tour branded festival.
Yeah.
Marcus Caillou asked, do you both follow through and not buy tickets to Warped? Yes, we did not buy tickets to Warped Tour. Yeah.
No thanks.
For
now, still.
It's just like this for more. All right.
I actually saw people like posting like, oh, I secured the tickets, and I was like, ugh.
Does part of you feel like,
are we worried it's going to sell out? Like, is that why you bought tickets?
If this was local, would you have bought tickets right away? Because I feel like that's a big piece of it. This idea of me sort of trying to figure out like, okay, well, like if I go here and then I got to get hotels and tickets and like request time off work, there's like a whole thing I got to like fucking take care of. But like if this was down the street from me and it was playing on a Saturday, I might have just picked up tickets and been like, sure, why not?
If this is within like 30 miles, yeah, fuck it, probably. So that's more of like a morbid curiosity too.
Sure, 100%. Shrink182 asks, what are your thoughts on festivals selling tickets before the lineup is announced? I'm worried Warp/Sonic Temple / Future When We Were Young tickets will sell out before the lineups are announced. I live in Bumfreak Midwest, and we'll Bumfreak, that's your new mosh call, and we'll have to fly, so it's a decent financial / time commitment, and want to actually like the bands playing before buying tickets and making plans. P.S. Love you guys. Love you too, Shrink182. Appreciate that. Here's my thought. I think you can look at When We Were Young, and you can look at Sonic Temple, and you can say to yourself, if these festivals are going to continue to book 70 to 100 bands, and there's going to be such a large overlap between them, if I'm, for all intents and purposes, a fan of like the metal and rock scene, and then like, you know, extrapolate that out to like pop punk for Warped Tour, then there's like a pretty good rationalization that I can make that of the 10 bands I'll be able to catch out of the 100, there are probably enough that I'm going to like, right? Like, more than likely, not knowing any of the bands, if Warped Tour banks 100 bands from the scene, I'll probably want to see 60 of them and realistically be able to catch 10 or 12 of them. So, like, it's a fairly safe bet in terms of, like, am I going to see bands I like? Unless your taste is incredibly specific within the scene and, like, for every 15 bands, you only really like one. Then it might be a little more difficult for you. But, like, you know from, like, watching and listening to this show that, like, for all intents and purposes, we have a pretty broad taste and we like a lot of bands in this scene. So, like, you know what? If they bring Warped Tour back and fucking Bless the Falls there and Neck Deep is there and fucking Motionless in White is there, okay, I'm like 100% content. Right. Is that like a fly out thing? Like, do I want to fucking buy tickets and make a whole fucking weekend out of it? Do I want to spend $1,000 on that? Maybe not. Like, you can probably, like, I'd understand your argument there. I think that if you're worried about not finding bands you're going to like, I don't think that's ever going to really be the problem. If you're waiting to see if there's like some massive like announcement that really like drives the like verification, like your personal, like it validates your purchase. I don't know that there's anything left that Warped Tour can really do that other festivals haven't already done. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If you're choosing between this and another festival, I'm sure there's going to be like a lot of parity between them, right? I don't know that Warped Tour is going to have Metallica or Linkin Park. They might, but like you might be better off going to Sonic Temple if that's what you want, right? I'm not. It's hard to say, you know. I guess I would prefer they announce the fucking bands first. I guess that would be ideal.
Yeah, as far as that's concerned, like I've made my peace with everything being like pre-sale and whatever. Like, just kind of have an idea of what you're getting yourself into with something like that. But like, I don't look at Warped Tour and say like, oh, that is a disgrace that they're coming back and they're trying to sell you tickets before they've announced bands. Like,
a lot of people do feel that way.
Everyone is selling tickets to their event before announcing whatever it is.
Is that true though? That is true.
When we were young last year, we're just like, and if you want to go to these other dates next year, baby, we got you.
Are they doing that now? Can you buy tickets to next year's When We Were Young? I feel like they haven't announced it yet.
I don't know they've done it yet, but I think they will.
You're saying it's coming though?
But I remember like the first year when they announced like year 2, it was like, hey, this just ended. Look forward to next year. And I don't think they released like any of the artists at that
I mean, this kind of
time.
makes sense. I feel like a lot of these festivals might do that where they're like, hey, book your VIP for next year before they're all gone and stuff like that. So I kind of get it.
And I know that like Blue Ridge is sort of the punchline here, but like that's what they were doing as far as like, well, here's the announcement, but know that we're gonna announce 20 band reunions by the end of this too. So like, right, it's.
But Warped Tour hasn't like made that promise, right? Their promise has just been like, there's going to be a diverse range of artists that you love from the past and the present.
Right.
It's like, okay, but like who? They I don't know what Warped Tour's gimmick is other than that it's Warped Tour yet. So I guess we'll have to wait and see.
And is that a strong enough gimmick anymore?
Yeah. Mark's Brandon asks, why do you think Creeper aren't bigger than they are? They're only sitting at 112K monthly listeners on Spotify. I feel like out of anyone I listen to, they're the most underappreciated. I thought Sanguivore would be their big breakout, and it just wasn't. Is it because they don't tour the States that much? I'm so confused.
I don't know how to answer this question.
You know, it's a little strange because I feel like you're right. It's this perennial question. It's like, why isn't this band in the scene bigger?
Right.
It's like you can have this conversation about a lot of artists, to be fair.
If anything, Creeper, and it's my favorite aspect of the band, but I have to imagine it is hard to keep a consistent fan base.
Yeah.
Because every album is different.
They certainly don't play to an audience in a way that like would make it easier for them to break through. Sure, I agree with you
like,
there.
As a Creeper fan, I don't know what the next song from this band will sound like, what their next sound will be, what they will look like, what the album will sound like. I know it will be different. And for some people, I'm sure that is, well, you also have to factor in, like, I'm sure a lot of people just haven't cared for what they have sounded like. Like, the whole 80s rock type thing just may not be a lot of people's boat. You know, that might not float their boat.
I think that when I listen to a band that's really good, at this point, when I can like objectively say like I listen to Creeper and I think they're a very good band, my mind then goes to it's other systems that are failing them. Like it's something like is their marketing team not doing a good job of like getting their name out? Is their label not doing a good job of like?
And we all know that can change in a blink of an eye.
Right.
The same question stood for Sleep Token through 2 whole albums until they finally broke through on the 3rd.
And then a lot of the times it's sort of like the things that are, you can't plan for, right? Like nobody planned for something like The Summoning by Sleep Token to become sort of like an algorithmic TikTok hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Similar to something like Just Pretend by Bad Omen. Like these are things that you can't necessarily manufacture. So like Creeper could be a stray TikTok hit away from really bursting through into like the forefront of the scene. It's just like, it happens for some bands and it doesn't happen for others, you know,
right.
Which is very frustrating. Marcos, Sam asks, favorite Halloween candy?
Weird third person moment for you?
It's not a third person moment. This is Sam C.
You just want to know.
Different Sam. You imagine if I was like ghostwriting just questions, but I was still just using my name?
I think as a kid, I would always get excited when you just had like those small little M&M packs.
Really? You're an M&M guy. Peanut or regular?
Regular.
Interesting.
Fuck peanut, bro.
Peanut's
What
so
are we
much
doing?
better than regular, but sure, have it your way.
I'm saying like as a kid though, like get those nuts out of my candy.
As a kid, I was all about those nuts. I couldn't have enough of them. I think peanut butter cups, it feels like the default, but I really had like a love affair with Snickers for quite a while as well. And I think Twix are underrated. I'm just like a big chocolate guy in general.
Nowadays, like Kit Kat does a bunch of funny flavors for Halloween. Those are pretty cool.
Funny flavors how? Like,
They
give me
do like one called like Witch's Brew or some shit like that.
Okay, that is fun. I'll
Yeah,
give that
and
to
it's
you.
like the Kit Kat's just like green or some shit.
Do you have you gotten trick-or-treaters like in the last like fucking 5 or 6 years of your life?
No.
I can't remember the last time. Like I probably like 7 or 8 years ago was the last time that,
It would
like,
be
I was in a
odd.
neighborhood with like kids
Right.
that actually like walked and like got candy.
Where you live now is just like such a back road that it would not make sense to have like
It's too scary out
any
here.
sort of trick or
It's too
treater.
scary out here. Like this is where like
You would take it as a threat if someone rang your doorbell and said trick or treat.
right. Like I'd be up in the window with like a fucking like my flashlight and like a pistol. Like who goes there? Right. I make it sound like I live in a cabin like deep out in the woods.
You
or
make it sound
something.
like you own a gun.
Yeah, or like I own a gun, right? But in this scenario, I do.
Right, sure.
I also own a flashlight in this scenario.
Yeah.
Andrew asks, "What's it going to take to get you guys to go more shows next year? Feel as though I've barely heard you talk about going to them in 2024."
We're going to one on Friday, bro. What the fuck can you ask for?
There's a call out.
What can you ask for? I don't know. I really don't know. I think a lot of this year has also been coincidence, like that we just couldn't go to a show that we had previously planned on attending. Are
you making excuses? Do you feel like you're making
yeah,
excuses?
well, we got to make a couple before.
You just feel like our energy hasn't been right in 2024. Like we just haven't like been in the right mindset or like mind frame, and it shows that somehow. I don't know. I just
It's
feel
a
like
combination of things. I feel like some of the shows I'm really excited to go to
yeah,
are suddenly a competition to buy tickets for.
that's been
And
a little bit of it
something
too.
like that is like a bit of a deterrent for me. And then like I don't know, like I guess just more stacked lineups, but like those will come. I think we've hit a point where like I need some new albums. So like for example, that Lorna Shore Pain Remains tour is hitting our town this week. And like Whitechapel's got a new song out, and we haven't seen any of the Kin material live. They're the direct support on that bill. And that's the main driver for wanting to go see that. And then I look at the headliner and I'm like, well, Lorna Shore's not released new music in 2 years.
We went to the last Pain Remains fucking
Right.
tour,
We went
right?
to a Pain Remains tour already.
Right, and now we're doing it again, so it does feel a little bit that way. Yeah, maybe that's it. I think just like overall, my general energy has been like very not as excited to leave my house as I used to be, and I think that's been a really big deterrent for like going to shows lately. And I don't know exactly what the catalyst for it was, because I'm trying to think like post COVID, like did we have a year where we just hit like as many shows as possible because we felt like we missed it, or have we just been on like a downward trajectory since COVID where it really like squashed our spirit in terms of like attending shows?
I remember like September of last year took a fucking toll on me where we did 4 shows in 1 week.
Oh, that was so fucking funny.
We did like, I think we started with maybe like Sleep Token or some shit.
Right, it was like Sleep Token, Nothing But Thieves,
Electric Callboy.
and then Bad Omens was
Yeah.
like all within like that same time frame. You're right. That was absolutely crazy.
And it
so
was
that's
just
what we gotta do.
a lot.
What we gotta do is just we gotta pack all of our shows into like 1 week and just like
Right.
get them all out of it. It's like, yeah, we're actually gonna see as many shows this year. We're doing them all in December.
Right?
We're just waiting for them to be announced first.
It's a real
Marcus.
backloaded year.
New music. Linkin Park have released new single Over Each Other. This marks the band's third new single since their return, following up the League of Legends World's Anthem, Heavy is the Crown, and return debut, The Emptiness Machine. All tracks will feature on the band's new album, From Zero, dropping this November 15th. The song premiered alongside a new music video directed by the band's very own DJ and creative director Joe Han. The video was directed while the band were playing over in South Korea on their world tour. Fun fact, Joe Han has directed previous videos for tracks Bleed It Out, One More Light, New Divide, and more.
Bleed It Out's a pretty fucking intense video.
Right, I didn't realize he was so involved, like directing music videos and stuff like that. It was neat to learn.
Also, 20 days out from that album.
Which is insane, right? 20 days out from that new As I Lay Dying album, too. Count it. In an interview with Jack Saunders on Radio 1's new music show, Mike Shinoda stated that, quote, "The original demo was all me. And then in the process, we played with different ways of presenting the song. When we did this version with Emily singing it all the way down, it felt the most what it was supposed to be," end quote. The band will be playing shows in France, Texas, Colombia, and Brazil next month. Linkin Park currently have just shy of 57 million monthly listeners on Spotify. And as I mentioned earlier at the top of the episode, they have the top 2 songs in the Billboard Hot Hard Rock chart. So things are all fucking... Cylinders are firing when it comes to Linkin Park. Like for a new song, new music video, boom, boom, boom. We're touring. We got the new albums on the horizon. We're topping the charts. Our streams are fucking insane. In the end was like the top of like the rock songs as well. Like just recent, like it's absolutely crazy what this band is accomplishing, Marcos.
Third new single.
Okay.
How are we feeling?
So this is the not heavy one, right? Like this is the closest to the ballad of these 3 singles. And I did really enjoy it. It's very interesting the way that Linkin Park is exploring their own range of material over the course of like the last 20 years. And like suddenly I think you got them pinned down and you're like, all right, we're throwing it back. We're doing Hybrid Theory era shit. We're doing Meteorish era shit. And then they come around the corner and they're like, nah, we still got some of this like soft ballad pop shit in our system, and we're gonna run that back too. I think that this was a good vocal display of talent for Emily, and I'm glad that this band switched and decided that she should run point on this song instead of Mike Shinoda. Though I do have like this level of curiosity where I'm like, what does the Shinoda version sound like? You know what I mean?
I'm not gonna lie. I look at that. I look at a statement like this, and I'm like, I'd like for this new album to just have like now a Shinoda only song, right?
You like the variations,
like balance it out a little bit.
That would be curious if they were to release like a deluxe version of this album to be like, oh, Mike's version. You know what I mean? And like change it up a little bit like that. You know, because it's just kind of cool to see like, you know, hey, here's the demo version of the song how I originally wrote it, and it sounds like this. Though I feel like when you start to do stuff like that, then you just sort of open the window to like people coming in and having their criticisms. It's like, oh, the Mike version's so much better. Why didn't you release that one? It's like, what is wrong with you? And all this other bullshit. And so like you have to wonder if the band is like, I don't want to open myself up to that. But I think as a fan, I would be curious to hear it.
Right. Well, I mean, like we're actively saying like there were other versions of this song, right? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem
like he's acknowledged it. So suddenly like he's put like I wouldn't have had that interest had you not like acknowledged it exists. Mark, let's talk about the most important aspect of this, which is the high budget music video that this band filmed in South Korea, which features, and there's going to be spoilers in here, a car crash between vocalist Emily Armstrong and a character who I'm to understand is to play their lover in this video. Like they're like girlfriends or they're married or something, and presumably Emily is cheating. They get into like a big fight. Then there's a car accident. Emily crawls out of the fucking wreckage. She's punching the window. She's trying to get her lover out of the car. She can't get her. She goes to find emergency services. They show up. They drag they got the thing that opens doors when they're stuck, and they fucking
Jaws of Life. Put some fucking respect.
It wasn't a Jaws of Life. It wasn't a Jaws. It was literally like it was a fucking crowbar. They pop that door open. They drag her out. They start doing CPR, but it's like a real soft CPR, so they don't really have like their heart in it. You're starting to think to yourself, do they even want this person to live right now?
Funniest thing in this video is they very clearly already have this body on the stretcher before they bother doing CPR.
They walk this body 25 minutes out of the woods and then they try to revive it. Like
it's just like oh shit, we gotta put him down.
Fuck. Boss is watching. Bring this body back. And then it's like, what the fuck is happening? Emily's been dead the whole time, and like there's a twist, and we M. Night Shyamalan this whole fucking video. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it. I thought the production quality was high.
Doesn't distract from the song.
Doesn't distract. No performance aspect, which I thought was interesting. Right, that's something that was clearly in the last 2 videos.
Though there was some performance on display.
So like Emily's like performing,
got some acting chops for the most part. I was believing like the yelling in the mirror and the yelling at the door and stuff like that.
I want to say something, and I don't know how people are going to take it, so I'm really fucking worried about... But I want to be honest about how I feel.
Sam thinks that the Shinoda version would have been better.
Is it fair at this point to say that these 3 singles are better than, like, the last 3 singles from the last album?
So
or the one before that. Like it for me, it's almost baffling how good out of the gate Linkin Park have come out with the, like, not only a new singer, but being gone for like such a long time to then have this level of like quality where I'm starting to look at these songs and I'm being like, man, I'm taking these over a lot. Like I'm more excited about this album than I was excited about going into like the last two albums.
I spun one more like recently because I just had a curiosity of going back to it. One of those albums where I think I only ever listened to it like twice, didn't enjoy it, had no intention of ever going back to it.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where it was just like, you know, we're getting these new songs, we're enjoying Emily, and I'm like, it's hard not to miss Chester with all this noise around Linkin Park lately. I've already heard all these other albums a bunch. Let me throw One More Light back on. And then I listened to it and I'm like, yeah, no, that's still just not what I need from this band.
Right. And it's like there are aspects of
outside
One More
of
Light,
the title track being just beautiful in its own right, and then with, of course, all this context,
heart-wrenching.
just right. That is still a beautiful song.
But like at that point in time, being as big of a Linkin Park fan as I was, I did not have this level of, like, I feel like I have to go back to like what was it fucking called? Like Thousand Suns is like what I think would be the album where like I was really like
Suns,
yeah, where like I'm going into it and I'm kind of fucking really hyped for it. And then suddenly that's where I'm at all over again for this fucking brand new Linkin Park. It's this deep into like their career, even the being a sort of like revamped sort of like relaunch of it. It's it's crazy to me.
Even like as a music enjoyer looking at a band going on their third single of a new album, I've already braced myself for the misstep here.
Right. And then it's like,
this is the band not to do it. I'm like, okay, shit. Well, we might have a good fucking album on our hands.
and every time they release one of these singles, like it feels like a moment. Like it feels like I have to stop what I'm doing and I got to go check it out and I got to go listen to it. And it's
they've all been pretty different from each other.
They've done an absolutely incredible job of just captivating my attention with this return. It's like truly quite impressive.
Yeah.
Hollywood Undead have returned with a new song, Hollywood Forever.
If I could save just one kid, I'm gonna keep this mask on as long as I live. Everywhere I go, you become a part of me, and all the love you show is worth the blood I bleed.
The release comes alongside the announcement the band signed with Sumerian Records, home to Bad Omens, Poppy, Sleeping with Sirens, and more. It's the band's first new song since 2022's full-length album Hotel California and its subsequent deluxe re-release. The band has also reintroduced their iconic masks. Johnny Three Tears on the new track. This song, quote, "This song is for the fans. They've allowed us to live out our dreams, and simple words can't express our gratitude. So we wrote this for them."
We got you, Johnny Three Tears. We got you.
End quote. And Charlie Scene on signing to Sumerian. Quote, "It's refreshing to find a group of people who share the same vision and are as passionate as we are about this next chapter for Hollywood Undead. Our idea of what this band could be has never seemed so possible. Excited to get started." End quote.
So, not to interrupt, but, and I'm sure this has dawned on so many other people, is Charlie Scene a play on Charlie Sheen? Because when Hollywood Undead came around,
Has never once crossed my
Two and a
mind.
Half Men would have probably been like at its peak in viewership and popularity.
This has never once crossed my mind, but now I feel like it has to be.
It has to be.
It has to be.
Has to be.
The band will be supporting Fall Universe in Europe this November alongside Sleep Theory. Hollywood Undead currently sit at 4.2 million monthly listeners on Spotify.
Now I want to look up the word Tiger Blood and then like Hollywood Undead, because you know they've dropped those words in a song before.
You think they've done it?
Yeah, I bet they have.
Do you think they put a little twist on it? They're like, "I got the blood of a tiger."
Yeah, maybe. The funniest thing about reintroducing the masks is that
they don't wear them for the entirety of the music video.
and then like for a split second, they're kind of in them at the very end.
I feel like if you're going to do something like that, then you almost have to center the video around like dusting off like, "Oh, I found this thing. What the fuck?" Like it's almost like a kid finds it. He's like, "What is this fucking thing?" And then like snatches it out of his hand and it's like pulls it down over his face. Is like the dead are returned, or whatever the fuck they call themselves.
They're forever.
The undead are back. Man, I don't. What is your general vibe on Hollywood Undead? Have you ever really fucked with this band?
Not really. I remember we listened to an album like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, that was probably
And
the
it was,
last
like-
time we like really covered that. We might have talked about a song off Hotel California.
Yeah, and like up until that point, like no real general interest in that band. Like
They had a
Hollywood
song like
Undead
called Levitate that I think I was really into for like a
Yeah.
heartbeat. Yeah.
so like 2 or 3 songs that like I'm down with, and then apparently the masks went away or the band went away, or I mean maybe not. Like I don't remember them ever releasing Hotel California.
Yeah, it happened. It came out. It's got a song with Jelly Roll, as a matter of
Oh.
fact, which I feel like they almost hit like the zeitgeist a
They
little
were
too
so
early.
fucking close.
Because you dropped that song like 2 months ago, you're cooking.
Right.
You're at fucking 8 million monthly listeners on Spotify.
And like where I stand today with Hollywood Undead is just like, all right, shit, okay, welcome.
That's a name I recognize.
Yeah,
That's a familiar project.
welcome back. I don't know.
I do feel like if you manage to kind of come under the level of popularity that you had at your peak, you can sort of keep reintroducing yourself as the return over and over until it sticks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Third time's the charm. What do you think we're on?
You got to think it was a big, like, we're no longer wearing the mask. That had to have been an era. So this has
Yep.
got to be like a new era all over again by bringing the masks back. Man, I don't fucking know. Ultimately, I listen to this song and like where I end up is just like I needed Hollywood Undead to at the very least take like 2 steps forward to get a little closer to like modern styles of rap. And this band is just like, they refuse.
Dead set on the Marshall Mathers.
I kind of like the clean singing.
It's definitely the main appeal for me.
I want to say Hotel California had a song called like Chaos or something that had like an insanely good hook and like a really cool music video. So like I did have like some general feelings of positivity towards this project. And then I hear this song and it's like the most Marshall Mathers ass rap that I, man, personally cannot for the life of me attach to. So I'm just kind of like, I'm sitting here, man. And at one point my boy spits like, I was mad and I was sad.
And
I
then I got
lost my
mad,
dad. And I'm like,
I was sad.
we can't be doing this in
It's not a
fucking
fad.
2024. We cannot
Right.
be doing this in 2024.
I started feeling real bad.
Right? It's just like, man, you got to take 3 more steps forward. You just have to understand that like within the current climate, this is not the kind of shit like you want to look at who you're opening for. Falling in Reverse, their flow, like Ronnie Radke's flow isn't what it was 15 years ago when they dropped their second album. Like they brought it to 2024, right? They made sure that it was like relevant, right? I mean, like as close as you're gonna get. It's like a fucking rap rock project. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying fucking Ronnie Radke's Playboy Cardi. Like I'm not saying this is like a 1-for-1 with the current fucking like hottest rap artist, right?
Yeah.
But I am saying there are steps you can take to get there. And Hollywood Undead said no thank you. 2003 was a good year and we're sticking to it.
2003 was a great year.
2003 was a strong year and we're running it back. And then it's like they keep introducing members throughout this song too, and I keep forgetting how many fucking guys are in this band. They're like 5 vocalists deep by the time you get to like the 4-minute mark.
Insane.
They're fucking bringing out like a 6th guy. I'm like, the fuck is happening right now?
You mentioned like this band has just like run it back as far as like every time they dip in popularity, they're like, and this is the return of Hollywood
It's
Undead.
like, you remember 303 was doing this shit over and over again?
I do.
It's like, we're back. It's like, this is your 5th album in 6 years. Stop.
Where I was going with this is just like, this could also be the 5th time they've announced they're signing Sumerian.
And we missed it a couple of
Right.
times. Yeah, that's really funny. Sumerian does feel like they're doing a really good job of making sure that they snag a lot of these like bigger build like rock artists the second they become available. Like they're like, yeah, Black Veil Brides will take that shit. Sleeping with Sirens, yeah, okay. Fucking Hollywood Undead, yeah. Like Like, give me some of these fucking like headlining names that people are really familiar with to make sure that we like really spread our like our finances here. Like, let's make sure that we get reimbursed, and then we'll go sign a couple smaller acts and see if they pan out. Like, I feel like they're getting really good about this shit. Overall, I'm still kind of curious, like, what Hollywood Undead have in their back pocket. Like, what is this next music video where y'all are dotting the masks for the whole thing? Like, what do you got cooking? But like, I'm at a point where this band where I know people have an adoration for them and they're a nostalgic band for them, and I'm like, go and enjoy. Hollywood Undead don't quite scratch that itch for me, personally. Megan Thee Stallion has dropped new song TYG featuring Spiritbox.
I go hard in the pain. I'm the type to test your gangster, put my fingers in your face. Yeah, I'm the type of bitch, put my fingers in your face. I'ma test you if you pussy. I go hard in the pain.
This marks the second collaboration between the hip-hop star and metalcore band following up last year's remix of Cobra. The new track includes writing and production credits for Spiritbox in addition to Courtney's featured vocal role. The song is featured on Megan Act 2, the deluxe re-release of Megan Thee Stallion's third studio album, Megan, released back in August. It also includes features from RM and Twice. Spiritbox are hot off the release of their latest single, Soft Spine, and are currently wrapping up a support slot on Korn's U.S. headlining tour alongside Gojira. Megan Thee Stallion currently holds 30.7 million monthly listeners on Spotify, while Spiritbox claims 2.3 million. Man,
You
it's
shouldn't be
so
allowed
funny.
to mention it in the same sentence.
I know, it's so funny, but it's like we talk about bands, biggest bands in the scene. Fuck Spiritbox, doing just like a cool 2.3 million, and then you
2.3 million,
start.
and no other bands are sniffing that, Sam.
I
None
know,
of them.
and then the second you step outside of our scene, it's like Megan Thee Stallion just doing a clean 30. You know what I mean? It's the same thing that happens when we like introduce Linkin Park into the conversation. It's like 1 million. 57 million for Linkin Park, 500,000 for this other band, 25,000 for this band. It's like the point of comparison at this, like, it's too broad. Like, these bands are barely seen. Megan Thee Stallion, I guess, technically isn't, except they kind of are now. They fucked with
they keep
Spiritbox
getting
twice
closer and
now.
closer.
This is twice now.
And the cool thing is that this one's like on an official release.
This is on an official
Because
fucking
Cobra
release.
Rock Remix, I don't think ever made it to something officially.
I don't think so either, though. To be fair, I'm not 100% positive. Though you would think the remix would have come to the deluxe re-release, and it's not on there, right?
Sure.
Megan Thee Stallion just decided, hey, I'm going to do another song with Spiritbox. Let's run it back. Courtney raps in this, sort of. She spits at the very least. This is a not...
You could say Courtney's getting her Hollywood Undead on, yeah.
Yeah, the like if I were to compare Courtney LaPlante's delivery to anyone in the scene, it would be Hollywood Undead, of course, yeah.
Is Courtney LaPlante taking jobs away from Hollywood Undead?
Courtney Scene is actually what I've started to call her. I think what's interesting about it is not what I would have expected, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not getting the type of feature that I would expect to get from Courtney LaPlante. So in that instance, it's fun. Overall, I just generally like that there seems to be this ongoing like culture like crossover where suddenly bands in our scene don't just have to be underground, and they can actually like step into like a bigger playing field and have like a broader audience appreciate them. And then you got to think to yourself, like, this will quietly permanently be in Spiritbox's top 5 songs. You know what I mean? This is like that one Machine Gun Kelly song that features Ollie Sykes. Like, it's in Bring Me the Horizon's top 5 permanently.
Well, I mean, you say that, but like, did the Cobra Rock Remix stay in their top 5?
That's a fair point. Like, that might not necessarily be the case. I guess for what it's worth, you're right. But you would think it would get there, right?
It'd be neat.
Like, I don't know how exactly that kind of stuff works. Like, I don't know how it has to be like attributed so that it also shows up in like the featured artist top 5, but theoretically you'd think that was how this would fucking work, right?
We wait and see. But very cool. I mean, you talk about like it's just cool to see that like we're not in an underground space anymore, and these bands can just, go and be involved in something like this. But part of it is that there is a mutual respect between all these bigger artists and all of these smaller artists. And that's very cool to see that Megan enjoyed working in some capacity with the band on one song and then was like, hey, let's do round two.
Let's run it back.
In the same year. That's crazy.
Yeah. It feels like we have kind of a little bit of a special bond there, Marcus. Obviously, what we need at this point is Megan Thee Stallion featured on a Spiritbox song. That's where we'd like to get.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully it happens. Howard Jones, formerly of Killswitch Engage, Scott LePage of Polyphia, and Mike Malin, formerly of Monuments, have teamed up for a new song, Cult. The track features on Hymns of the Unholy, a metal EP based on the hit indie game Cult of the Lamb. The EP features 6 tracks with additional features from members of While She Sleeps, Animals as Leaders, and Malevolence. The songs were written and produced by Sam George, aka Pickup Goliath. Jay Armstrong, co-founder of Cult of the Lamb, developer Massive Monster, shared the following on the EP. Quote, "We're huge fans of metal music, and there's a lot of metalheads in the Cult of the Lamb community too. There's a natural link between the game's themes and heavy metal music, so why not get some goats from the world of metal to transform Riverboy's iconic melodies into heavy metal slammers? All the artists featured on this release have given 100% commitment to this project, and we couldn't be more grateful for their support." End quote. And Trivium's Matt Heafy on his involvement, quote, "Video games have always been an important part of my life, so it's been amazing to work with the Massive Monster team and turn Cult of the Lamb's iconic soundtrack into a metal album. There's such a natural link between video games, heavy metal, and the game's themes that a collaboration like this just makes sense," end quote. Cult of the Lamb has sold over 4.5 million copies since its release in 2022. Marcus, how do you feel about this new crossover between video games and metal music?
I don't think it's that new at all.
This in particular, this crossover in general.
This one's this.
Yeah,
what
I mean. This new crossover in the ongoing crossovers of metal and video games.
I think this is a cool one. I like that they're incorporating well-known elements of existing songs, like the melodies from those, into this material.
Right. This is like Cult of the Lamb goes punk.
Exactly.
Right. So it's like a familiar song, but with a new twist.
And I think that like those twists are fucking cool, right? Like
they are fucking cool.
Pulling in someone from Polyphia, someone from Trivium, someone from like, Howard Jones.
Listen,
right?
if there's a video game metal collaboration, Matt Heafy shows up like the fucking boogeyman. Like, you just say metal in video games in a mirror 3 times and he appears out of nowhere and ready to go with a fucking 6-string strapped around his fucking side. Yeah. My guy was in, what was it, fucking Metal Hellsinger, like, just recently?
Sounds about right.
He's, as far as I can tell, nearly a bigger Twitch star than he is a fucking metal vocalist at this point. He's synonymous with, like, video games and metal. If they were to bring, you know that Brutal Legends game that came out forever ago that was like Jack Black? If they were to reboot it, it would actually just be Matt Heafy as the main character. Like, it would just like supplant Jack Black. I do like that he is like sort of the arbiter of like this specific type of crossover.
So safe to say you'll check out the CP. Are you going to buy Cult of the Lamb, Sam?
I think I need both. You know what I need them to sell? I need them to sell, it's like the game on Switch and the vinyl
like the
together.
Digital pack or something?
Yeah, let me get like $60. Let me get both of them out of the gate. What I really want to talk about, though, is how they quietly put together one of the sickest AMVs I've ever seen for a metal song.
Cult of the Lamb is just like peak character design.
It's got incredibly appealing visuals.
Right. And then like putting like some sort of storyline around this video is really cool.
Right. So it's like you're hearing things, they're talking about going to like the underworld and shit like that. The fucking Lamb guy, I don't know his fucking name.
Lamb guy, yeah.
Lamb guy fucking pulls a sword out and fucking starts fighting the devil or whatever the fuck is going on in this video. Going Super Saiyan when the breakdown hits.
We didn't pull Lamb of God in?
Is that a missed opportunity? Is a good point.
It feels like a massive missed opportunity.
Yes, it might actually be. Cult of the Lamb of the God would go hard.
To workshop it a bit, but it's there. It's close.
But I like that they pull some names that are like, I feel like a lot of times when they go and do this shit, it's like, yeah, we got Trivium and we got Metallica and we got fucking fucking help me out. Name an old rock. We got fucking
Metallica again.
Metallica again. But this time they're like, no, we got Polyphia, we got While She
Malevolence.
Sleeps. It's like, yeah, we got like some real fucking current hot names or relatively current hot names within like the metal scene, and that's really sick. I'm incredibly hyped for this. I thought this was a fucking blast. And also, can we take a minute to ask ourselves how Howard Jones has not risen back to being one of the greatest metalcore vocalists in this scene? I don't know what the fuck is going on with Light the Torch, but I haven't heard a single song from that band that goes as hard as what he's doing here on this video game soundtrack. Like, what a fucking reminder of the insane talent that he is, and like how we did not cherish and nourish it in the way that we should have.
I think he should join Trivium.
I think he should go back to
Alongside
fucking
Beefy.
Killswitch Engage. You're right. Howard Jones just needs to be in more shit.
Right.
Feature in a new song.
Yeah.
Like, I heard these vocals and I was like, my God. Why isn't this man
Instantly.
allowed to cook more often than he is?
Instantly, right?
Instantly.
Like the first word he sings, and I'm like, oh shit, we got a real singer here on our hands.
He's going to bring himself back into the goated conversation on the back of the Cult of the Lamb soundtrack is wild.
Insane.
Like, who knew this is what it would take, but I'm glad it happened. Matt Heafy pulling the fucking string somewhere.
Most interest next has to be like While She Sleeps, his involvement, right?
I gotta know. 100%. Marcus, Sleep Theory have released new single Paralyzed. The Memphis, Tennessee hard rock band shared the following on the new song, quote, Paralyzed is a record that speaks about the inner battles we face and attempting to overcome those obstacles while trying to move on and seek inner peace. This is the heaviest track Sleep Theory ever released, and the intensity of this record is there to help convey the magnitude of how these struggles feel internally, end quote. Can I say one thing before I continue?
Mm-hmm.
It drives me fucking insane when bands refer to a song as a record. That's like
It's
what they
annoying.
do strictly like when they're nominating things for like Grammy consideration. It's like, and the new record from fucking Sleep Theory, Paralyzed. It's like, it's a song. Get it right.
Yeah.
It's like the wording here is, or like when they're like, we're premiering the new record from Bring Me the Horizon on BBC Radio Rock 1. It's
Old
like,
people do that shit too.
record? Like the song? Do you mean the song?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Back in my day, we used to get 3 Elvis records in a week.
Right, it's insane. It fucking breaks my
Right.
brain every time it happens. Marcus, the band have experienced incredible success this year with their last single Stuck in My Head hitting #1 on SiriusXM's Biggins, currently rounding out the top 10 on Billboard's Hot Hard Rock Songs and garnering 16.6 million streams since release. The band will be supporting Falling Universe in Europe this November alongside Hollywood Undead. Sleep Theory currently hold 1.1 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Marcus, another incredible underground success story in this scene where it's like I blink and suddenly Sleep Theory are over 1 million monthly listeners, which is incredibly impressive.
I mean, they have the sound for it, right?
They've got the SiriusXM hard rock sound down to a T. I think Paralyzed, while I find that to be a relatively good song, I think Cullen, their vocalist, absolutely slays in the vocals. It makes me sort of like turn and go, okay, I think I need to be spending more time with this band, which is what made me go and be like, let me listen to Stuck in My Head. I feel like I missed out on this. And then hearing that song and being like, oh yeah, well, this hook is disgusting. So
Insane.
obviously this took off.
Ridiculous.
Obviously
Yeah.
this took off. Generally for me, the big drive here is just the vocal delivery. I just think like it is absolutely captivating in a way, and that I think the chorus for Paralyzed undersells this a little bit, but it's those verses that kept me coming back to this song.
What do you think? Finally, we're getting a heavy song from Sleep Theory.
I mean, it's so funny when a band says this because it's like our like general spectrum of what heavy is on this show and what we cover is like, yeah, we're gonna get the next song. We'll be talking heavy, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about the new Fit For An Autopsy album. We'll be talking heavy. This band talking about this being their heaviest song, and it's just kind of like, all right. I mean, I guess there's kind of a breakdown in here.
But there's levels to this, okay?
I know, so
Sleep
it's
Theory,
like
there's levels.
within this band spectrum, this very well could be their heaviest song. I'm not going to argue against that. I just feel like within the spectrum of this show, it doesn't necessarily feel like anything particularly heavy. But it is funny that this is how all metalcore bands just have to talk about their material. Like, this is either like
Every song.
this is like the catchiest song we've ever written, this is our ballad, or this is the heaviest shit we've ever put out, bro. You have 3 paths. Choose your adventure. Like, there's no other way you can frame a song anymore.
And when they announce the album, that is how they frame it. They're like, this is, if I had to describe it in 3 words, heaviest, catchiest, most emotionalist.
Right. But the fact of the matter is that, like, Sleep Theory seems like they can just drop a song and it does the talking for them. So it's almost like their press release could be like, tune in to Sirius XM, and this is going to be somewhere in, like, the top 10. Like, that's the kind of heat we've got
Listen
right now.
and weep.
That's the heat we're carrying, yeah. Marcus, and finally, Not Enough Space have unleashed new song, Primitive. The Florida metalcore band released a track alongside their signing to Thriller Records, home to Rain City Drive, Dark Divine, Catch Your Breath, and more. Vocalist Lizzie Ratma on the track, quote, Primitive is about feeling trapped in a toxic relationship with a significant other. Both parties feel that they cannot leave because they're holding on to memories and their false sense of hope that maybe one day things will get better, end quote. The band are currently on tour in the U.S. supporting The Funeral Portrait alongside Dark Divine. Not Enough Space have nearly 100,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. Marcus, we're getting in on the ground floor on this one. I think if you're under 100K, you're a fresh new band on the upward trajectory, and we're swinging in right in time to be like, we were there first.
2 years from now, new song from Megan Thee Stallion featuring Not Enough Space.
It would be incredible to me if that is how, like, bands made it moving forward. It's like, yeah, did you see they got the Megan Thee Stallion nod?
Imagine.
Or like the Lil Uzi Vert, like Bring Me the Horizon God or whatever, you know? All right, so I'm like at the point where I'm pretty trusting of like Thriller Records taste and being like thumb on the pulse of like the next hottest band. I mean, the fucking success they've had with like Catch Your Breath and like Dark Divine and stuff and like Honey Revenge has been incredible.
Rain
right?
City Drive's had a fucking big one this year too.
Rain City Drive, the home team, like Thriller Records has been on the fucking pulse. So I'm like, all right, I'm checking out their new shit. And then when I like slide into this and the video, I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, 2 vocalists, open with a sick fucking breakdown, has this incredible throwback fucking 2009 metalcore meets deathcore energy. Like it's like God sent an angel from heaven down to bless me specifically. They were like, for Sam, here you go. Everything you want in a band, all in a singular song. Enjoy your favorite new project for the next 10 years.
I also like this for Thriller because suddenly predicting what their next band
They
sounds
got diversity.
like is a little more complicated, right? Because this is a this is not the formula that we've gotten used to.
Yeah, 100%. So now it's like they have like a broad range of like what they offer in terms of scene music, and we're starting to like branch out and expand from there. And this has got to be, for me, as far as I'm concerned, one of the like quietest, most incredible, like underground, mostly unknown type band of the year. Like them going and picking up this, like I heard this song and suddenly I'm looking at like that Funeral Portrait tour and I'm like, almost for Not Enough Space alone, this has become something I need to go to. And I'm also incredibly happy that I've lived long enough to now see the revival of my favorite era of music making its comeback. It's like suddenly we're throwing back to like these Asking Alexandria Motionless and White breakdowns from like the late early aughts, and man, it still fucking hits.
Yeah.
It hits so goddamn hard. It's crazy. This bouncy ass fucking dual vocalist, like back in like contrast vocal, got that clean chorus. It's incredible. Like this is easily band to watch out for next couple of years moving forward.
The break
down.
Marcus, we checked out some new albums this week. No official reviews, but we've been listening to The Nothing That Is, the new full-length album from Fit For An Autopsy, out now via Nuclear Blast. The album was produced by member Will Putney, who has also produced albums from the likes of Knocked Loose, Thy Art Is Murder, and The Amity Affliction. Will Putney is also a member of supergroup Better Lovers, which features members of Every Time I Die and the Dillinger Escape Plan. They dropped their debut album this week as well, so there's some fun little timing there on their part. 10 tracks, handful of singles heard prior to the album. Marcus, you get a general vibe on this?
Yeah. So had kind of lost a little bit of my enthusiasm is maybe the right word. Yeah. Around this
hype
band,
level.
they released their last album and like it just doesn't super click for me. I don't even remember the name of it.
Was that the See a Tragic Beast, or is this the album?
It's the one after it.
So it's crazy. I can't even pull the name from the top of my head. We got. Give me some descriptors.
It's got like a lady with like maybe like a flower crown. Sitting.
Fuck! I do remember. It's got a name.
It
Chat
does
a little bit. I'll grab it.
Well, you don't even need it.
Well, just for the sake
but that's
of...
what I mean. Like, it's all very forgettable to me.
Sure.
And it's a band that, like, you know, you release songs like Black Mammoth and I'm All Over You, and just like for a good while, like really into the band. Seeing Tragic Beasts come out, less so. The next album, less so.
Oh, What the Future Holds is what it's called.
Oh, What the Future Holds. And then they're announcing this album. They're releasing singles, and the entire lead up to it, I'm like, man, I'm going to listen to this just to say
you got enough respect for the band. You're going to check it out.
Enough respect for the band to check it out, but not enough respect to expect to enjoy it.
Sure.
So that's my
Which is
mindset
sad,
heading
but
into
like,
it.
Okay, we'll just say like at base level, your expectations were like have stalled, right? They were just like flat. So like,
but and this is a super group though.
Sure.
Like, so there's like, right.
Fit For An Autopsy is a super group too. Did I fucking forget that?
I believe they're considered a super group.
Interesting.
Or I don't know if Will Putney
I like the idea of Will Putney
is
every time
so
he's
powerful.
in a band, they makes them a super
Right.
group. I like that idea. Yeah, let's go with that.
So anyway,
What else is Will Putney in? Isn't he in like fucking N too with like
Sure. If anything, he's recorded all of N's material.
Sure.
So heading into this album, right, like pretty low expectations. I hit play on this and immediately I'm having a wonderful time.
I know, it's something I'm hearing Hostage like for the first time all over again.
But you're
I don't
finally
remember this breakdown
hearing
going
it.
as hard as it did. Yeah. Which sometimes I feel like so much of like our general feeling for a band is just how we chose to experience them leading up to it.
No, I mean, like, it's
I'm not
hard.
speaking for your entire overall feeling. I'm talking about specifically like this one singular song. I'm like, I feel like we checked it out before a podcast, watched the music video, probably spent 25 minutes talking about how the music video did really click for us, and then actually go back and listen to the song and be like, yeah, this is really good.
Right, not realizing the entire time the video just distracted us from actually listening to the song.
Yeah.
So, immediately I'm just rolling with all the punches on this one and enjoying every single one of them.
It comes out of the gate incredibly hot. Like, it comes out of the gate
Sam.
very fucking abrasive. Like,
Hostage,
very fucking aggressive.
Spoils of the Horde, Savior of None / Ashes of All, 1, 2, 3 punch to kick an album off is nasty.
It's almost like this band knew they had. They they knew they were losing you a little bit, and then suddenly immediately they like put you on your fucking ass.
They do not care about me, but
like, who?
I love
Excuse
the
me,
idea.
no. It's Fit For An Autopsy wrote this album for you specifically.
We got to get Marcos
They
back
knew.
on board.
They knew.
Yeah.
They saw your tweet.
You
There had to have been
save
one.
the cheerleader, save the world. Get Marcos back on board.
Right.
We'll get everyone else back on board with them.
For me, when this album really fucking like struck me, like when it really like cemented itself as probably being above average, is as soon as we hit Red Horizon.
And it's funny you say it, you phrase it in that way too, because that's really when the fucking earth stood still, is listening to that song in its entirety.
I just think having something that's so like relevant and so well written, and also just, it doesn't end up just being like an informational track or like an important song, but also a very fucking good one. So it's like, for me, I walk away from this as like Red Horizon is like the best song on here. incredible music video that they put together for this song.
But Horizon, one of the best songs of the year is how far I'll
It's
take
kind of
it.
how I'm feeling a little bit too. Yeah, 100%. And I'm not going to lie. A lot of it is the relevancy of it. So it's written about the current crisis in the Middle East, right? And sort of speaking to what feels like a genocide against the Palestinian people. And it's very powerful the way that not only it's presented in the song, but again, how it's presented in the music video and this sort of dichotomy they have between like a family where all of their life appears privileged and there's nothing that's disrupting like their day to day. And then to have somebody just on the other side of the wall who's experiencing like all of these inhumanities and them trying to like break through and get the other person to hear them. And when they finally do, to then have their parents come in and just kind of like shush them and tell them, no, don't worry about it, in this way of sort of like the older generation quieting the younger generation for like not understanding the situation or something. It's just like incredibly powerful overall. And like some of the line deliveries in here are amazing. It's just like, yeah, it was like from start to finish, it's just like one of the most well cared for songs I've ever seen.
Right. Well, one last thought on the video. It's just like the way that there is just a clear like line down the middle showing both sides.
Right. And then the way that they sort of like cross
Really
over
impressive.
between them to have like the ball roll from like one into the other side.
Yes.
And then have it sort of like catch on fire, or to like drag the doll and then see it become completely destroyed when it goes on the other side. And they're sort of speaking to the similarities and the differences all at once. It's just like absolutely brilliant.
Very powerful, very emotional, very impressive
Yeah.
song.
So it's like so much of like what it is to come in and listen to a deathcore album is like, oh man, breakdown hit like crazy.
Right. Well, and here it's like especially it's sort of like one of those things that really makes you like pause too, because it's just like, wow, that breakdown's incredible. The phrasing of it all is incredible. And then you're like, this is coming from a really real place at the moment. And it's like, I'm still enjoying it, but like the band has done a good job of like really conveying how desperate that situation is, right? And
Yeah.
how horrible it is. So it's like it takes you out of it briefly too, which is good.
And then there's some part of me that does feel a little bit like with an album peaking there, it doesn't quite reach the same heights afterward. But I would say I was content with the remainder of the album. Like I found myself really enjoying the title track in particular. And I like sort of the quieter send off of The Silver Sun.
I think sandwiched in the middle of those are two excellent songs as well, though. Like Lower Purpose was a single. Again, dismissive of it upon its release, but then hearing it on here, bro, like the fucking just that I am a product of my fucking environment and how often it's repeated throughout that song, I've not been able to get it out of my head.
There's a lot of good like line drops in here that are just like the call out right before the breakdown that absolutely fucking annihilate.
There's I forget which track, but there's a good one where it's just like fucking thieves, and it's like, ugh. Like I immediately put like my stank face on.
Joe's the
Lurch is a really good song
for this
too.
band, correct?
Believe so.
I don't want to say underrated because I don't think that this band is necessarily underrated, but I do feel
They're
like
underrated by this podcast.
Yeah,
and
I feel like
probably
I have
properly rated
underappreciated.
by the rest of the scene, which is a theme for so many bands across this entire show.
It truly is. But sometimes it takes that album for it to like really click for you. You know what I mean? And I feel like you had a lot more adoration for this band early on than I did.
Well, I think we've re-clicked for me. Which
Yeah,
is
I feel like it flip-flopped a little bit. Rob was actually more fond of like See a Tragic Beast than you were, and then neither of
the
us
Great
really hit
Collapse
the
was
next one.
my entrance into this band because I think I missed like the first 3 albums because this is their 7th.
Which is insane.
I know, right? That, in all fairness to this band, like consistently putting them out every like 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, like good on them,
Yeah.
right? But it's insane that like I missed so many albums, until
Right.
I finally hopped in. Marcus, we also checked out The Great Impersonator by Halsey, out now via Columbia Records. This is the follow-up to 2022 full-length album, If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power. It has a litany of producers, including Alex G, Emily Haney, and Halsey herself.
Turned 18 and I left the city. I said I wanna be cool, I don't wanna be pretty. Voices all came crashing down and said you're too nice to run this town.
I actually didn't check this out. I heard a couple of singles. Ego and Lucky.
I believe those were the ones.
But you heard the whole album.
In all
Marcos.
fairness, Singles The End and then Lonely as the Muse, I did send to you like a month back when they first
Is that
released, and I was like, Sam, I know you don't really value my opinion or anything, but like you should really
There's
check
no
out these
fucking way this
songs.
happened. There's no fucking.
They're
You're
so
setting
neat.
me up as the
I
villain
will
for
pull
no
this
reason.
up. I will pull
You're
these
such a
texts
fucking.
up.
You're setting me up as the villain for
Dick.
no goddamn. Like none of this context is even relevant to the
Anyway.
conversation we're about to have.
I was going to experience some massive FOMO had I not checked this album out the day it released. The reason I say that is because I think that it has had one of the most brilliantly creative lead ups to its release
That I can speak to. That I've
ever.
seen some of.
Tell me about it.
All right,
What is it?
so
what do you
Halsey-
think it is?
So Halsey's been cooking for like a fucking month now with like these nonstop album cover recreations. The one that like really popped for me was the one that came closest to like our scene, which was the Evanescence Fallen cover, where suddenly it's like suddenly now I'm paying attention. You know what I mean? It's like I was like, all right, what are we doing over here?
So Halsey's been sort of detailing, leading up to this album, every song, its inspiration, and that inspiration would be like, hey, you know, Lonely as the Muse was inspired in some capacity by a band like Evanescence, which is why I'm recreating this iconic album cover or iconic photo or whatever it might be from any of these artists, because I have an adoration for them and I was inspired by them. And that's why this is all called The Great Impersonator. So that is such a fascinating sell to me. The execution was, it was not only like fresh and like the payoff was extraordinary, but like it's just fascinating.
It is cool to see somebody roll out an album and do something that isn't just the songs and like the music videos, but be like, hey, this is sort of like an artistic project, right?
Or alternatively, right? Like you're not even wearing your inspirations on your sleeve. You're wearing their faces.
It is.
And that lending itself to the name of the album, The Great Impersonator. So there's so much cool stuff. And you know, we mentioned Evanescence, but like we also recreated like album covers from Britney Spears, Bruce Springsteen, help me out. I don't even think you can help me out.
Britney Spears?
Britney Spears, I did say, which is awesome. Thank you.
Fuck.
Dolly Parton, Madonna, like shit like that.
Okay.
And it's just sort of like incredible watching it all come together. So by the time the album actually releases, I'm like, okay, I've really loved some of the singles. So I think Ego may have been one of them. We had The End, we had Lonely as the Muse. Those two were very big for me. I really enjoyed them. Lucky may have been a single as well. I forget.
It had to have been. It had a music
you must
video.
have
It
heard
had to
two
have
of
been.
the
It had to have
singles of the four, I think. So yeah, like I immediately pressed play on this one. It's a longer record. It's like 18 tracks. It's an hour and 6 minutes, but for the most part, it flies by, Sam.
Okay.
Because not only are we like visually inspired by these artists and putting on their faces, but like musically as well. So you match up songs like, Letter to God versus Only Girl Living in LA or I Believe in Magic, and they're not all drastically different, but they're different enough to keep you interested throughout the entirety of the album as you are hopping along the track listing. That I don't know, it just ends up being over in the blink of an eye.
I have questions
on first listen.
So having heard Lucky and hearing the sample from the Britney Spears song, is that something that happens consistently throughout the album where we like very bluntly acknowledge the inspiration?
The tough part is that like
it might happen and you didn't necessarily
like
catch
I'm
it.
not a big Bruce guy. So like if we're doing a lot of throwbacking to Bruce outside of like just the general knowledge of what.
Did you say Born in America at any point?
Well, close, right?
You could say, sure. Like for example, like Lonely as the Muse, did you say that was about Evanescence? Like that?
I think that is the song they attach, but
like at no point does she say like "Wake Me Up Inside" or
right,
anything like
and
that.
at no point is that song like a mirror image of that song whatsoever.
I'm
right?
happy that's the case because part of me feels like that as a gimmick might grow tired. So I'm glad it's not pervasive throughout the entirety of the album. I will say that I heard those two singles and something I was very interested to hear this. I'm also like deeply interested about the variety of this. Like, is it stylistically very different from like song to song?
Yeah, that's sort of what I was talking about earlier, where it's like it's not disjointed because like you listen to every song, you're like, yeah, this all fits on the album. But a track like Lonely as the Muse is entirely different to a song like Hometown or Dog Years.
Like Ego kind of sounded like a 90s like alt rock song, whereas like Lucky is obviously like that pop element
2000s.
mixed with a little bit more of modernity.
Yeah.
And I guess I did kind of my what I would take away from the experience of listening to those two songs is that this album probably does something very similar with every track, where it kind of like, and especially because it's The Great Impersonator and it ties to all these other artists, that like each of these individual songs would feel kind of dramatically different from one another. But you're saying that the Halsey of it all still makes it feel very cohesive?
Yeah. And listen, like the Halsey of it all is not always like the greatest appeal to me. Like I've liked Halsey since they like sort of got popular within the music industry, and like I liked that first record, Badlands, and then I listened to the second record, and then like, you know, like the last record I couldn't even tell you what it's called. I forgot it ever came out.
Are we talking about the one that I named earlier, If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power?
Exactly.
Okay.
So like I never even checked that one out. So it's not like I'm a massive Halsey fan, but here I am, like, again with the whole presentation of this album, having FOMO if I were not to listen to it.
That's
and then I
interesting.
do listen to it, and I'm reminded that like Halsey's really got a really great talent, like lyrically especially. This is definitely a confessional type record, and it's detailing a lot of, you know, very personal things. It's very emotional at times, you know, rocky relationship with your father, dealing with being a single mother,
Health problems.
right? Dealing with chronic illness. Halsey has or had leukemia at some point. There's some really there's like a line in there talking about like losing friends to like needles and stuff like that, and then being the one with needles in their arms later because they're in treatment and things like that. So
Dark.
It's like, right. And then there's like other like very interesting lyrics that like I really enjoy. It might have been on Lonely as the Muse, where it's like, I've inspired platinum records, I've earned platinum status too.
Fun.
So it's just like, what a fucking unimaginable flex
Fun.
for an artist to just casually like, it's almost like a throwaway line.
I do hear a couple of songs off of this, and then like I hear you talk about it, and I do feel like this inner desire in me to branch out from the scene a little bit sometimes, because I do also have this FOMO occasionally, especially when it's something like this. And
Halsey's
it's so...
seen, everyone's seen the Panic at the Disco mall cover.
Okay. If we want to give
Halsey went to a Story So Far show.
If we want to night that, hey,
Halsey worked with Ollie Sex and Jordan Fish.
Halsey was on an MGK song.
Yes, she was, exactly.
Halsey sang a song with Youngblood. Like, yeah, I know
Halsey
it's
is
there.
seen.
I know it's that.
Halsey's playing Warped Tour.
Yeah, but like,
I'm calling it.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that I shouldn't necessarily need this like small. It's like, okay, well, Halsey took a picture with Chris Motionless once, and they're like, all right, I gotta check out those new albums. You know what I mean? It's like I should just go out and check out these fucking new albums for like these wildly talked about artists, and it's like I do it so rarely that I feel like it would really help me branch out my like general.
I mean, you joke, but like
perspective.
You joke, but like again, like the way that this album was promoted really was a driving factor in me listening to it.
Incredible
like,
marketing
I think it is one of the
tactic.
coolest, most ambitious and creative ways to promote an album I have ever seen. I think it is a really inspirational album rollout.
I saw discourse of a lot of people sort of bitching about this. It's like, what's even the point? And I'm like, I mean, I don't. Why would this bother you?
Right.
It's like, why is this annoying you in any capacity? Like it's either you like it or you don't, I guess. But also like, it just kind of seems cool. Like nothing about it feels like it's taking away from anyone else. It's such a strange thing to like be bothered by.
Right. That's just like you already dislike Halsey, so you're looking for more reasons to do it.
100.
And me personally, I like Halsey. I don't think that this album is filled top to bottom with excellent songs, but it's got a real handful of great tracks on them and some other good songs surrounding those tracks. And I do recommend this one, if only just to experience it. I think that it also tells a pretty beautiful story at times, and you really feel for Halsey at moments throughout this record. It's a really interesting listen.
I have one final question.
Yeah.
How was Halsey's performance in Maxine?
she's not like jumping off the screen or anything, but like Halsey's good in Maxine.
Ephemera, the new EP from Ben Quad, out now via Pure Noise Records.
Catch the spark before it lands. Start the dust and flame in hand. Catch the spark before it what are you afraid of? Start the dust and flame in hand. From your couch. Catch the spark before it let me just act that. Start the dust and flame in hand.
Marks is the last thing we checked out this week, produced by CJ Cochran, who worked on the self-titled album From Outline in Color. It is the follow-up to 2022 album I'm Scared That's All There Is. Ephemera is defined as things that exist or are used or enjoyed for only a short time. Marcos,
Everyone knows that.
Is hammered in over and over on this record, and I love that. In the short span of 11 fucking minutes, this band manages to work in like...
This is 22 tracks, by the way.
Yeah, this is 22 tracks. This concept, this like tightly woven narrative in this very brief project. I think that what this band manages to accomplish on this record is create like this incredibly unique brief instance of what feels like a violent, like lashing out at someone, but almost in a way that's like, it ends in what feels like, there's a moment in this record. Okay. Let me focus my thoughts where this like sort of narrative moment where a character in a sense almost says like, I made you just to throw you away. And then this album ends like 3 songs later, right? On this rallying call of being like, I'm not just something you can throw away. And it's like, it's not the most in-depth sort of story told, especially given the runtime, but that it has this sort of interwoven connectivity and a drive behind it, and a drive that like you can feel in the delivery and performance from this band. I just find that this little like slice, this little taste of Ben Quad does such an incredible job of making me feel attached to them and falling in love with this project. And final thought, I also don't know why, but like I heard this band, I saw that they were signed to Pure Noise Records. I thought I had my mind sort of wrapped around them. And then I kind of walked away and I'm being like, I did not expect something that felt like a weird combination of like Static Dress meets Kei Inashi interwoven with like...
Briefly meets Under Shikari with the fucking clap clap in one of the songs.
Right. And then like this sort of like... And at this point, this genre feels dead in the water completely,
Sure.
but like swancore elements. So they end up being this little like hybrid post-hardcore band that I really had never heard of before. It just came out of nowhere, and I find myself kind of infatuated with them now.
Yeah, Ben Quad is the real thing. I'm looking forward to a full length, and like you said, small taste, but a good one.
Yeah, incredibly exciting upcoming artist. That's been an episode, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Good.
Blah.